I am now. All right. Welcome everyone. Let's start the meeting with our normal opening of that our meetings are an environment of education and awareness. This is not an open market for sale, purchase, or distribution of cannabis. We do not encourage or condone illegal behavior of any kind. Oh yes, I see some people grabbing our brochures. We printed out brochures for the 420 rally. If you didn't get one at the rally, definitely grab one now. The rally itself was really based upon the focus points that are listed inside of there. We have six different focus points for the organization, and so we had 6 different speakers at the rally speaking on those different points. We are going to start today with our normal legislative update, starting with our national legislative news. As always, I'm going to talk a little bit about HR 1227. The 1227 basically is a bill that amends the Controlled Substance Act to provide that the Act's regulatory controls and administrative, civil, and criminal penalties do not apply with respect to marijuana. Additionally, it eliminates criminal penalties for any individual who imports, exports, manufactures, distributes, or possesses with intent to distribute. The bill does, however, make it a crime to knowingly ship or transport marijuana into a state where its receipt, possession, or sale is prohibited. A violator is subject to criminal penalties, a fine, a prison term of up to a year, or both.
We're talking South Carolina.
This is federal level. Yep, federal level, HR 1227.
Who introduced that bill?
Pardon me?
Who introduced that bill?
I want to say Hooker, but I'm not certain. I don't have the sponsors on this particular list. I did a real brief summary printout of them. Let me see if my other notes say no, they don't. The other one I want to bring up right away is the one, again, another one we talk about quite often is HR 4779. That is the restraining excessive federal enforcement regulation of cannabis. Basically, they are not allowing federal funds to be used in legal states for prosecuting marijuana offenses. Newer one that's being pushed relatively hard, and it's not really that new, introduced into the House on 17th of January, HR 4815, and I want to make a note here. Senator Kamala Harris actually just signed on as a co-sponsor for 4815. And that was kind of big news this past week. Pardon me?
Is she a Republican?
No, I don't believe she is. This comes a week after California Senator Dianne Feinstein also reported that she was dropping her opposition, and I know Feinstein was a Democrat. I believe Kamala Harris is a Democrat as well, but she signed on to 4814, and that's, again, it made the news pretty well this week that she was backing that. Why is this out of my pocket here? That's basically the three that I wanted to kind of point out for federal level was HR 1227, HR 4779, and HR 4818. And that fourth piece where it was in the news about Kamala Harris signing on 4815, excuse me. State legislative news, not a whole lot going on. I believe session has ended last week. So all of the bills have kind of died where they were. I know Jill Swing over at South Carolina Compassionate Care Alliance does talk about the momentum we built this year and how we want to basically going forward through the next few months until they reconvene in January, try and keep the momentum going, keep adding new people to the support lists. One thing that I found out through a post on our Facebook page, somebody sent us some info, the primary Democratic ballot has a question on it: do you support passing a state law allowing doctors to prescribe medical marijuana? So that is on the Democratic ballot in the primary. My understanding of South Carolina election laws, you can vote in either ballot no matter what your registration is, but I know a lot of our folks that are registered as Republican are telling me there's no way I'm going to vote on that Democratic ticket. My response to them is perfectly fine, but please write your legislators and let them know that you support legalization in the state. That's always an easy way around it. You don't have to vote on it in the ballot. Write your legislator, let them know. And that's a good way to, because this is not a binding vote. It's really, the same question was on the 2014 ballot. At that point, they had a 75% positive response rate. I'd be really curious to see what the response rate would be after this primary if it was 75% 4 years ago. So that's all I really have for legislative news, both federal and state. On to chapter business, and I'm going to start chapter business with board members needed. Kayla and I were just talking about it a little bit. Down on the end of the table, we have nomination forms. Our organization is supposed to have a board of a 5-member board. We currently have 2 people serving on that board, one of them Suzanne, and one of them myself. We still need to fill out the board. Basically what I'm asking people to do, and by our bylaws we really have to have an election once a year. We passed on it last year, being a new organization, being that we hadn't had time to try and get any nominees together or organize any election. This year we're not going to let that slide. We're definitely going to have our board nomination elections this year. We're looking for all 5 positions, including executive director. Not sure if I will or will not run at this point. So we are asking everybody to all positions at this point are up for grabs. So like I said, every meeting I'll be bringing nomination forms. I will probably within the next couple days also get them up on our website. People can download them from there. And let's see if we can get our board built and get a little more structure to our organization. We really do need other board members for a number of reasons. One of them, I need help with some of the work. Also, I need some other people's direction. I think a lot of pretty good ideas, but sometimes I like to bounce it off of other people or hear their input. And sometimes my ideas are just way off track, and somebody needs to tell me that. So, really, we need board members.
Don't we all need someone like that?
We do. Thankfully, my wife does that pretty well for me. You're way off base, Jack. Second thing on my list for chapter business update is progress in our filing with the IRS as a 501c3 nonprofit has been filed. We had 27 months, I believe it was, 27 months from inception to file that paperwork. So I kept putting it off and pushing it down the road. We still have quite a ways we could push it down the road, but since I was already refiling and re-registering our nonprofit with the state, I figured I'd go right ahead and file our paperwork with federal. Of course, once I filed our 501c3 paperwork, got it all sent in, now I'm thinking, how can we switch this to a 501c4? What's the process? I really think we would be better off as a 501c4. It would give us a little bit more ability to get politically active. And some of the benefits of 501c3 aren't necessarily benefiting anybody. Nobody has even one as filed like a tax write-off for their donations or anything, because in most cases we are giving them some sort of compensation for their donation, whether it's the donation for the t-shirt and then they get the t-shirt. So with those kind of things you can't write it off anyway. So a 501c4, which isn't a tax deductible organization, it really probably wouldn't be a problem for most people, most of our donors. So that's something I'd like to look into, but the fact we are filed with the federal and we are refiled and re-registered with the state now, and I mentioned it to a couple of you here before everybody else got together, I had received some paperwork from the state telling me that we didn't have to do our filing with the state until May 15th. I thought that included our financials as well. Our financials were really due April 15th with everybody else's, and so we are now not filed on time with our financials. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about it, except file them late at some point in the next week or two, and at least get our financials filed. Some other things involved with that are also about filing with our for state sales tax exemption. Although we are selling things on our website, I'm kind of calling it as gift with donation. I'm not sure how that's going to fly with the real financial people, and so really we should get our other paperwork in order. Another reason why we need somebody with financial experience on our board. This high school graduate just doesn't know enough about it. I'm going to jump back real quick to federal legislation because I forgot to mention it. Kind of because I'm not allowed to. There is some pending legislation being written right now. I believe will be coming out of I just blanked on her name. Senator Elizabeth Warren's office addressing marijuana as well. I don't know exactly what it says. We've been told to kind of keep a lid on it, don't publicize it too much because they're still writing it. But within about a week or two, we should see some new marijuana legislation coming out from the center of Vermont. So we'll see what happens. From Massachusetts.
But that maybe you could kiss her.
That could also be too. You know, I mean, she's a polarizing personality. Many on the right don't like her one bit.
Including the president.
Including the president. But then again, I'm not sure who he does like some days. But it's supposed to be some pretty powerful legislation. We'll know more next month's meeting, and probably in about 2 weeks we may be able to post some info on it. I'm going back to chapter business again. Sorry about that jump away. We have started blogging on our website. One of the things I'm trying to do is draw more traffic to normalsc.org and away from Facebook, only because I've been hearing a lot of things about pro-marijuana Facebook pages being shut down, pro-marijuana Instagram accounts being taken down. We've faced some issues with advertising, trying to promote our 420 rally. Our content's shut down because they claim we're promoting drugs. They have an appeal process. You click the appeal button and fill in your appeal. They've never yet responded to me. So they say there's an appeal process, but they don't do anything about it, it seems like.
Is that just Facebook or Instagram too?
Well, Instagram is owned by Facebook, so I'm assuming it's similar. I haven't.
This is pretty chill on Instagram. Like they're a lot
I'm
more.
following alternately.
And in a conversation with somebody that knows social media pretty well, they told me probably our ads are being shut down for too much text in the images, and I have a tendency of putting a lot of text, basically making a little text picture and posting it. So I did run one the other day for Mother's Day. It said nothing about marijuana, and they ran it fine. It was a big picture of tulips and just our web address on it.
Mother's like all different kinds of flowers.
What kind of flower does your mom like?
You should have made the tulips green.
Yeah, so
That was cute.
I thought it was kind of. I liked it. I was waiting for some people to say, "Oh, my mom liked, Blue Dream," or I did post a picture of the long stem organic buds. Yes. now have a 10 by 10 canopy with big banner sidewalls. I showed the banners earlier to Kayla and Ben, and you saw them, but I'm just going to pull up a real quick picture and show you the rest of you here. You saw it a second ago. Where'd it go? There's two of them there. If you want to take a real quick peek at our new little setup, it doesn't have any of the tables or anything inside, but those are our sidewalls on our banners, and then the canopy itself. So we are now starting to look for some locations that will invite us, and when I say invite, generally for free, to their events. We have signed up and paid for one other event so far, excuse me, and that is the Pride Festival in September, which I believe I mentioned last month. Yes, sir.
Are there other farmers markets that aren't run by the city?
There are. Johns Island I tried to contact, and because their farmers market is on a school's property, the school feels we are a controversial subject and they won't allow us at their farmers market. What's that?
The James Island Farmers Market?
James Island Farmers Market, I haven't asked them yet. That's not a really well-attended market. I go there almost every week.
I haven't been there.
It's kind of sparsely populated. I may ask them soon if we can set up, just so we can have some place to set up. I think I have the people at the Folly Farmers Market interested in inviting us to be a non-profit like once in a while.
Yeah.
We will have to get a $30 business permit for Folly, but that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
The farmers market at the poorhouse, I've talked to the operators of that. They said it's a controversial subject. We support you. We'll discuss it and get back to you. That was last year. I haven't heard back from them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I am with them right now.
So it sounds like you've done a lot of research on that.
I've looked into some of them, yeah, because I thought that would be a good place for us.
Based on that small synopsis you just ran through, I think Folly would be like our best bet. Just buy Folly, like the city would probably accept it.
All the little corner spots have a little bowl, like, in the window.
And I must admit, there's a couple, I think there's 2 or 3 of the vendors at the Folly Farmers Market already have our cards and our brochures on their table. So even though we're not set up there officially, we usually have a little bit of representation. Yeah. The gal with hypnotics, yes, make stuff out of hemp, that kind of thing. But yeah, we now have that. We definitely want to find not only places to set it up, but now I also want volunteers to kind of operate it. Good example, Marley Fest was a nice 12, 13-hour day. I think Suzanne came and helped me for about 2 hours that day, and I was appreciative of the help, but it was a long day, and some other bodies would have been nice from time to time. I don't know if any of you saw on my personal page, I posted that we set up our little 10-foot inflatable pool the other day. I'm thinking, how cool would that be inside of one of our canopies one day? We get our info table in the front, the pool in the back. Okay, Scott, enough dumb ideas. But VIP seating, man, you know. Okay, so that's the canopy. Our counts for the month, membership count, I believe, is still at 34. I didn't do a real accurate count on that. Newsletter, we're up to 270 on our newsletter count. 1,079 followers on Facebook, 223 on Instagram, and 223 on Twitter, 417 on Instagram. So our numbers are growing, and basically Instagram went from 335 last month to 417 this month. That's a pretty good jump, I thought.
Yeah, 420.
Yep.
A lot of business cards and flyers going out that day.
That was probably part of it. I know we got a lot of stuff out that day at the 420 rally.
People walking by.
Also talking about the rally, all of the speakers were recorded with our fancy little camera and now on YouTube. So if somebody wants to see the whole speaker series, I think it runs about an hour, 20 minutes, hour and a half, but it's all out there. Committee reports, not really much going on with committees. The brochure that everybody has in front of them now, the only thing I'm really happy with most of it, there's one section that inside, little white box on the top right corner, Kevin Mamalji out at National says it mentions some negative deaths from auto accidents and stuff, and we really want to try not to tie negative statistics with our product in any way. So there's some point that we want to do an edit on that little space. I think the rest of it pretty much holds up though pretty well. And nothing else new really in that committee except volunteers needed. Outreach Education Committee, we've been talking, I talked to Kevin Mamalji again at Federal about possibly doing a candidate forum here in South Carolina at the library probably in August. I'm not sure if I really want to take that on at the moment. It could be a pretty good project. I'm trying to get all the candidates to come in and talk for a forum. And I already know there's some other organizations putting some forums together here in Charleston. So I'm not sure if we'll have our own, but even if we don't have our own, I'd like to see our members showing up at these other forums, asking very pointed questions. I will get from National a list of questions that we really want to ask candidates. We don't want to just say to them, do you support? We really want to ask them pointed questions. Will you vote on such and such a legislation? We want to know if they will vote for it or not. Not just if they go, oh yeah, I support it, and then.
When is the
primary?
Yeah.
Primary's on the 12th of June. So, I mean, we may not get as much information out to people as I'd like by June because it's less than a month away. So I'm going to probably try and concentrate a little bit more of my information on the regular elections after the primaries, on just those candidates that are left. I'd like to try and get some other stuff out before the primaries. The one thing I would like to get out, in the manila envelopes at the end of the table, you'll notice we have our candidate packets. I did take one out personally to one of the candidates that was running for probate court, and I thought it was kind of funny because I walked up to their opening of their office, and the woman came up, the candidate came up to me, and I said, I really don't even know what a probate judge does. And apparently they handle drug court. She's like, oh, we do this and that in drug court. I'm like, oh, well, perfect. You do need this. Handed her our candidate packet. I emailed out about 10 of them, but I'd really rather mail them a hard copy. So that is one of the things that I need to get a list together. I was talking with Kale and Ben a little earlier. I have an empty spreadsheet right now that I need all the candidates entered into somewhere along the way. So I'm looking for some typing help on that. But if anybody else ever wants to look at that candidate packet, there is a PDF of it on the website. Some really good information that we could all use in our discussions with people. Good talking points, some statistics, stuff like that. Another thing on the Outreach and Education Committee is we do have the brochures now, so I'm going to be looking for some places to put them out along with our cards. I have a couple of places that I can put them on James Island and Folly, but I'm looking for some other places that are a little bit beyond my reach, so that when I come to a meeting I can hand some to somebody else and say, can you put those at a shop near you, whether it's the hairdresser or... I like the idea of hairdressers because they're everybody goes there at some point or another. The barber, the hairdresser, whether they, I have a lot of people say, why don't you put them in the head shops? Well, first off, the head shops don't really want them because they're worried that if they mention marijuana, they're going to risk their shop license. The tobacco shops. So many of them are a little bit, and I really want them in a more normalized situation where people normally buy their groceries, where people go and get their hair done. Everyday places, not just the tobacco stores or the head shops and that kind of stuff. So that's the kind of thing I'm looking at. And as I've said before with the cards, now with the brochures, I sign my bill at the end of the evening when I'm having dinner. I put the receipt back in, a brochure, and a card, and my server ends up with our crap every time I go.
I left some brochures in the back of the car when I was Ubering.
Oh, okay, you were talking about
About
that.
4 hours, like since I did that, and I think they disappeared by the end of the night. It's all blurred in the back seat of the car. But my third passenger, she was like probably like a 50-year-old lady with like kids and stuff that are in their like 30s or something. She picked up the brochure. I heard her laugh, and then I was like, we started talking about it. She like supports it. She's like, I haven't smoked in 30 years, but like my kids do, and I'm interested, and like it just opened up like another person, you know, that it's
Cool. Well, thank you. And again, I don't know how much the camera's picking up, but Jeff has mentioned he's putting some of the brochures in the back of his car while he's Ubering, and his customers are finding them and finding them amusing and interesting. I guess is the best way to put it. So yeah, anything like that where we find that we can put them out in just everyday situations, let people know that we're there. I'm still finding after a year plus of doing this that I mentioned Lowcountry NORML. People go, we have a NORML around here? So there's still a lot of people I'm not reaching somehow or another. Thank you, Facebook, and your algorithms. I know I posted something today to our 1,000 plus people, and 66 people saw it. Their algorithms are horrible. With that said, I'm going to ask everybody at meetings and going forward, when you do see that we post something, please share it, like it. I understand not everybody wants to share. They maybe don't want their family to know they're supporting. Maybe there's another group that you follow that is sort of supporting. You post it and share it to that group. But try your best to try and help, because the algorithms seem to try and block us. Do what you can to try and break those algorithms and share it out there as much as possible. Event committee, Normal Pride Saturday, or Normal at the Pride. So that's the only thing really on the event committee right now. I also talked about a hemp fest for the first Saturday of November. There's been no progress on that at this point. I still like the idea. So we'll see if anything can come together, but I'm not laying any money down on bets right now. Also with the event committee, volunteers needed. I say that with every committee, don't I? Hang on, 2 more committees to come. Membership committee. And on membership committee, which I didn't mention on the outreach and education committee, I definitely want two members from membership and 2 members from outreach at the Pride Festival. And also a membership committee, volunteers needed. And then last committee is the sponsorship committee. The only thing on there, I'll skip and put one thing on there. One thing on the sponsorship committee, on the bottom of our brochure, you'll see the 2 advertising spaces. Both of those are available. We put Leafly in. They've been good to us just to kind of fill in the space, so we didn't have 2 blanks. The other one definitely says, advertise here. If you know anybody that's interested in helping support our organization, this is a good way to get your name out there. The advertising spots on this are on the back of the NORML Freedom Card. This is basically what you would give to a law enforcement officer if you were confronted, basically saying you're invoking your 1st, 4th, and 5th Amendment rights. So right on the back of that would be those 2 advertising spots. Great for a defense attorney or a bail bondsman, maybe. Yeah. But that is sponsorship. We do also have some other sponsorship opportunities on our website. And also in the sponsorship committee, volunteers needed. That's pretty much it for everything on the committees. Again, I have a note, share our events on Facebook. So whether, and when I say share our events, our meetings, there's a little button that says share. When you click that, it says, they'll give you a drop down and it can say invite your friends. So many of you, if you're my friend, you get an annoying invite every month from me. Please send an annoying invite to your friends as well.
We did verbal annoying invites to like 3 or 5 people where I was like, come tonight. And they're like, I gotta fix my car.
Yeah. I did make a mistake on the newsletter, and it said the June meeting. In one place said it was at Here Again, and another place it said the Tin Roof. Next month's meeting, June 19th, the Tin Roof, 1117 Magnolia Avenue, West Ashley. Anybody else have any questions for me before the meeting ends? Alrighty, I'm going to push the button and I'm going to end it. See y'all.